I asked you to share your Bluebonnet story, so I thought I should share mine. Um, I first fell in love with horses when I was about 10 years old. And a couple years later, I started taking riding lessons, and I loved the lesson barn. And somewhere I had read about auctions, probably in a horse magazine. And so I decided that what I wanted to do when I grew up was, um, sorry, Jelly, get horses at auction that nobody wanted, fix them up, get them trained, use them for lesson horses. And then when the kids fell in love with them, everyone fell in love with the lesson horses, their parents could buy them, and I could do it all over again. And then a year or two later, probably in the same horse magazine, I learned about a rescue. And that's what I wanted to do. But there were very few rescues at the time, and I couldn't get involved in one. So, I went through high school and college, and then I moved to Texas for a boy who I've now been married to for over 25 years, so that worked out. But we didn't have any money in the beginning, and someone introduced me to a lady who had Arabians, which is my favorite breed, and she needed help. So I started helping her, but it turned out she was an animal hoarder. We called them animal collectors at the time. She had more dogs, cats, and horses than she could possibly take care of. And we parted ways, and then her animals were seized. But unfortunately, they were given back to her by the JP. So she moved, and she moved again, and she kept basically running from animal control. And finally, all of her animals were seized. And they were seized because a horse named Flight, a gray Arabian gelding who I loved, and at one point thought I was working off the price of, he lay dead in front of the horse trailer she was living in. He'd gotten a respiratory infection apparently, and she overdosed him on phenobarbital, which she shouldn't have had, but she did. And law enforcement seized all of her horses and the remaining dogs. She'd gone from about 60 to 20. We never found out what happened to most of them. And I was devastated. I love those horses. I love those dogs. Walking away from that property had been hard, but I, couldn't keep going when she refused to take care of her animals, and I didn't know how to get them help. So my husband and I, first she moved and she moved again. Animal control in different counties were closing in, and she'd move. And finally, all the horses were seized because a horse named Flight, a gray Arabian gelding who I loved, who I thought I'd been working off the price of, but she wouldn't let me have when we left. He lay dead in front of her horse trailer. He'd gotten a respiratory infection, and instead of treating him, she'd overdosed him on phenobarbital, which she shouldn't have been able to have, but she did. So the horses were seized, the dogs were seized, and I didn't know how to help, but now we had the internet, and so I started reading and learned about horse rescues, and in Texas, a JP could award the horses to a rescue. The problem was I couldn't find any rescues. So first my husband and I made this webpage for Williams Equine Rescue, and we tried to get help for the horses. We were never able to help those particular horses. But we met more people who wanted to help horses, and we formed a rescue, a 501c3 rescue that existed for 7 years and helped about 750 horses. That rescue, unfortunately, was merged into another rescue, and I was done for about 24 hours, maybe not even really 12 hours. And people I knew who'd helped horses with me, who'd been in that rescue, kept calling and saying, we have to do something. So Bluebonnet was born. And I'm glad it was, because really I can't imagine not helping all these horses. I can't imagine not having them in my life. And I can't really imagine not having the Bluebonnet people in my life. So that's, it's a calling. It's why I think I'm here. And that's why I do rescue with Bluebonnet. That's my Bluebonnet story, and I would love to hear yours.